Alright, so I read this article today, so I wanted to go on a little bit of a rant because it just seemed kind of sick reading this. So I'm going to read this aloud, what this article says, and then I'm going to tell you why this sincerely pissed me off. Okay, so let's start here. Question. Our 14-year-old son seems depressed, to us at least. His principal sees no sign of depression, but thinks he's socially anxious. The subjects of counseling and medication have come up. We have suggested to him that he get more exercise and spend less time playing video games and watching TV, but he says he hates sports. He appears to be withdrawing more and more into his video screen world. Our plan of action is to insist that he take up a sport if he wants the freedom to have a computer and video game. We want him to have balance in his life. Your thoughts? Answer. I'm in no position to know whether your son is depressed or anxious. If you want answers to these sorts of questions, you and your son would need to see a skilled mental health professional in your area. Then you would have to determine for yourselves whether or not you feel comfortable with his conclusions and recommendations. However, if my experience is worth something, I can tell you with a good amount of confidence that the syndrome you're describing, obsession with video games, withdrawal from the real world, lack of motivation, is becoming increasingly familiar to me, and more often than not, if the teen is a male, video games are a part of the picture. Video games are proving to be very problematic for teen boys. More and more researchers are coming to the conclusion that they are addictive. Not figuratively, mind you, but literally. They are, after all, a form of gambling. The fact that they don't involve money is beside the point. During the past few months, two separate sets of parents have asked me what to do with 20-something unemployed sons who play video games all day and through most of the night. Those two sons represent thousands of young men who are wasting valuable years of their lives playing electronic games that have no redeeming value and pose a real hazard to their emotional and social health. Before any evaluation of your son can yield a reliable picture of his mental health, the video games have to go. To accomplish that, you have to recognize that you are part of the problem. You've become enablers. First, you cannot suggest to a methamphetamine addict that he shouldn't use so much meth, that he needs to get more exercise. If the addict won't give up the drug, then people who have influence and authority in his life need to take it away and make sure he can't get his hands on it again. Ever. Second, there's no such thing as an addict being able to strike a balance in his life between the addiction and healthy activities, as seems to have happened with your son. An addiction takes the place of healthy activity, as any former addict will attest to. You're either addicted or you're healthy. You can't be both. I don't know whether your son would benefit from a psychotropic medication, but I can say with reasonable certainty that medication or not, he needs to be released from his slavery to video games. He is not going to voluntarily give them up, so you're going to have to step up to the plate and take them away. For your son and thousands of video-addicted teen boys, I'm hereby proclaiming May 1st, take their video games away for good day. In my fantasy, millions of boys come home from school that day and find their video game consoles are gone forever. To paraphrase Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world that would be. Okay, well, as you can see, this guy is completely, ignorant. I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of raging hard here. But I'm going to go through, in order everything that is completely retarded in here, and then I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to tell you why this guy is retarded and I don't like his face. Alright, so first off, let's talk about his parents. Keywords, 14-year-old son. 14-year-old son seems depressed. Okay, well, he's 14 years old. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to kids because everyone at that age is an asshole. Okay? His school doesn't see any signs of depression, and his school is seeing him much more than his parents. Especially, I mean, if this kid obviously doesn't want to talk to his parents because he's playing games. Alright. Counseling and medication. I'm assuming that if there was any other, additions to this, that they would tell this guy, that they would say, our 14-year-old son seems depressed, he plays video games, and this, and this, and this, and this. But to want to bring your kid to counseling and give him medication because he's playing video games more, that's disgusting. That's sick. To bring a kid into the world of medication and psychiatry because he's playing video games. We have suggested to him to get more exercise and spend less time playing video games and watching TV, but he says he hates sports. Okay, well, let's look at I'm not going to bring up the demographics of 14-year-old boys who play sports in America, but let's say that, a very large percentage of 14-year-old boys do not play sports. I know that when I was in elementary school that I played sports, and in high school I'm playing sports, but in middle school, which I'm assuming 14-year-old is, I guess that's kind of old for a middle schooler, but maybe like a freshman, you can't expect everyone to play sports. This is the 21st century. There's other things to do. Exercise is important, but you don't bring someone to counseling and give them medication because they don't play sports. There are plenty of people playing sports, and I guarantee you that people who don't want to play sports don't want to play sports. People who don't want to do homework don't want to do homework. If you take away video games, they're going to fill that void doing something else. Back in, the 50s or before, video games were around, lazy people still existed. 20-year-olds who live with their parents still existed. People who dropped out of school still existed. If you take away the video games, they're acting like there's a sure way that taking away the video games is going to make this kid more productive. No, I don't think so. Of course I don't know, but I don't think so. He appears to be withdrawing more and more into his video screen world. Video games are awesome. So if he really enjoys it, why wouldn't he? There's plenty of people who do things that are not, productive per se. You could be doing Sudoku, puzzles or crosswords for fun. And that promotes brain activity. And, that gets you thinking. But so do video games. You're playing StarCraft 2, and that's much more demanding on your fucking brain power than any other thing that you're going to be doing in the public school system. I guarantee you. And it is just as productive as Sudoku, maybe more so. Because, at this point there is a professional world that exists within video games, which does not in Sudoku. And say you're a bird watcher, and that's your hobby, and you spend all day bird watching. The fuck does that do? Bird watching does nothing for anyone, and is totally unproductive. Most video games are probably pretty unproductive. But, Jesus, people do shit. People have hobbies, and just because old fuckers can't relate to that shit because this hobby is different from hobbies that you might have in the 50s doesn't mean that they're not completely acceptable. Okay, so let's go on here. Our plan of action is to insist that he takes up a sport if he wants the freedom to have a computer and video game. We want him to have balance in his life. Your thoughts? Okay, balance in his life is important. You know. So I don't seem to have too many things to say about that. But now here's where it gets even worse. The answer, where this fucker gives his shitty advice to shitty parents about how to deal with his kid, which really doesn't seem to be a problem. Okay, answer. I'm in no position to know whether your son is depressed or anxious. Blah, 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 blah. We already read it. Obsession with video games, withdrawal from the real world, lack of motivation. There's been no sign, they have said nothing about his lack of motivation. Not playing sports does not mean you're not motivated. Not playing sports means maybe you don't like sports and you don't want to play with a bunch of assholes. Team sports suck dick. They suck. Because you have to deal with other people. And other people can be assholes. So, fuck it. If the guy doesn't want to play sports, don't make him play sports. You can work out and you can get exercise without playing sports. And as 14 years old, you don't need to be playing sports. And there's been no sign that he has been lack of motivated. Okay. It's becoming increasingly familiar to me, and more often than it is not, it is seen in the teen male. Video games are part of the picture. Problematic. They are very addictive. Not figuratively, mind you, but literally. Okay, that's interesting. Because I didn't know that they were, physically addictive. I would like to see some, facts, some citations of, studies that say why they're addictive. But he's just talking out of his ass and saying video games are physically addictive? Jesus. Literally addictive. But where's... People see this and they see this as fact, but he gives no citations to studies. This is unprofessional and retarded. They're, after all, a form of gambling. How? How is that a form of gambling? Okay, I'm gonna look up gambling definition. Play games for a chance of money. Bet. Take risky action in the hope of a desired result. Okay, so let's start with the second one and go to the first. Some people may play video games because they're scared of social interaction. Maybe they're scared of going to parties, they're scared of trying new things, and that's bad, and they should try new things. But it's definitely don't take away video games for everyone, and promote these other ideas, but don't force them. Okay, taking risky action in the hope of a desired result. Taking risky action in the hope of the desired result, that would be like going out and socializing, when you have social anxiety, because you want a desired result, and that is gambling. You're gambling your social status there. Video games is the exact opposite of gambling. Like, online poker, if you would consider that a video game, then yeah. Okay, but if you're playing World of Warcraft, or you're playing Call of Duty, or League of Legends, let's just take, since Call of Duty is this, popular game, especially among 14-year-olds, middle schoolers, early high schoolers. Let's take Call of Duty, for example. Call of Duty, there is no risky action, and you're getting no desired result, unless your desired result is unlocking shit. Which, really isn't gambling. And let's take a look at, the first definition. Play games for a chance of money. Bet. Now you could argue that people play, League of Legends because they want to be professional, because they want to join tournaments, because they want money. But what if someone is spending all their time writing instead of doing their homework, which may be, something else, because they want to make a book, and their goal for that book is to make money? Or someone is working in athletics and they're trying to be a professional athlete and they want to be a professional athlete for money. Or someone is trying to be a professional actor and they want to be an actor because they want money. All of these things, they may enjoy it as well, but they're also doing it for money, you see? So anything could be a gamble, especially since, getting paid in theater and getting paid in athletics is such a small percentage that people actually get into that. So acting, even going to college for theater, is a gamble of your whole life, because you could have no money for the rest of your life and get nowhere because you chose to do something you enjoy and get paid doing it. So I would say most things are a gamble, and I would say video games are significantly less of a gamble than anything else. And unless you're talking about professional gaming, then no, none of these are gambling. And in no way, shape, or form is this gambling. This guy must be extremely ignorant to video games, because you don't gamble jack shit when you play a game. Okay, let's move on. The fact that they don't involve money is beside the point. Okay, well, explain to me then. Explain to me how video games are gambling if they don't involve money. And you say beside the point. Why don't you fucking describe and explain to me your reasoning? You just say shit and then you say besides the point. That's stupid. That's like saying, well, I got addicted to meth, but that's besides the point. No. If you have something interesting to say, explain it. That was a really horrible, relationship or relation or whatever you want between the two things, but you know what I'm trying to say. So let's move on. I've got a shit ton of rage in a couple paragraphs, so let's move on. During the past few months, 2 separate sets of parents have asked me to do 20-something unemployed sons who play video games. Okay. Well, they're not unemployed because they play video games. They're unemployed because they don't do shit. They don't work. They're not unemployed because they don't play video games. There's plenty of things. I'll go back to it. There's plenty of things people have done in the past before video games that kept them from getting jobs. It's not the games. Young men who are wasting valuable years of their lives playing electronic games that have no redeeming value and pose a real hazard to their emotional, social health. No redeeming value. Wasting valuable years. Holy shit. People find their wives playing video games. People find the closest friends that they've ever had in their entire lives that they wouldn't have made if they didn't play video games. People enjoy every second playing video games. They love it. They are passionate about it. Every day they can't wait to get home and play video games. Now, if you're playing video games and you don't enjoy it and you're just doing it because there's nothing else to do, then you have an unhealthy addiction. But mind you, that you can have an unhealthy addiction to anything. And people, who's this guy to say wasting valuable years of their lives playing? no redeeming value. They have redeeming value. Just as much redeeming value as anything fucking else. Yeah, you might not be making money. You might not be getting, like, an education. But there's plenty of things people spend their time not. Socializing is a fucking waste of time. You're not getting paid. You're not climbing any sort of social ladder other than, in your small community. You're not getting money. You're not getting your name out there. So what the fuck, man? This guy's retarded. Let's go to the next paragraph. Before any evaluation of your son can yield a reliable picture of his mental health, the video games have to go. The video games have to go before your son... Okay, so... they take away the video games and he gets pissed off. A psychiatrist says he's pissed off because he's addicted to video games. He's too scared to talk to people because he's been addicted to video games so much. Let's put him on antidepressants. What the fuck? What people don't understand is psychotropic medications are drugs, and they're strong drugs with potent ingredients, and you can't just give them out to people for no fucking reason. And from what I see, to give this 14-year-old boy psychotropic medicine because he plays video games is beyond retarded. Just, Jesus fucking Christ. And then, next sentence, this is good. He relates people who play video games to methamphetamine addicts. Methamphetamine, meth heads. You think you could take a comparison that's a little bit, less extreme. Compare someone, who plays video games all day to someone who is super obsessed with being popular, that they spend all their time talking to people and on Facebook and, rather than, doing their work and shit. A methamphetamine addict, is someone who is more than likely homeless, more than likely going to die, more than likely rob someone, depending on the severity of their addiction. You can't fucking take a 14-year-old boy who plays video games for who knows how long. Could be an hour a day, could be 2 hour a day, hell, it could be 6 hours a day. But still, you cannot compare it to a meth addict. What the fuck? Okay, let's go on. That he shouldn't use so much meth. Okay, well, Jesus. I didn't know that I use so much meth, because obviously I play a lot of video games, and video games are on par with meth. So, maybe I should stop using so much meth. This 14-year-old boy is obviously using a lot of meth, if his parents had to message him, and he had to write this article. Jesus fucking Christ. If the... Oh my god, take it away, and he can never get his hands on it ever again. So no one should ever be able to play video games. Coming from someone who's probably never played a video game, or probably sincerely doesn't enjoy video games, because he's an old shit fuck who probably sucks at everything he does because he's retarded. Okay? Alright. Let's move on. Second, there's no such thing as an addict being able to strike a balance in his life. And again, he's relating him to an addict. He's a 14-year-old boy who talks to people less, probably because he's 14 years old and everyone's an asshole. And he calls him an addict. The fuck? the addiction and healthy addictive.
There's no such thing as an addict being able to strike a balance in his life between the addiction and healthy activities.
So there's no such thing as someone being able to play video games and do other healthy activities as well, right? So what he's saying is video games are not a healthy activity and in no way can be a healthy activity, right? Correct me, in the comments if I'm wrong, but I see no hint that he's trying to say anything else. And he's saying that no one should play video games at all, I guess, because that's taking away from healthy activities. Addiction takes the place of healthy activity. Yeah. So if I stop playing video games, my GPA would rise, and I'd get more work done, and I'd be happier, right? Or maybe I would still do fucking nothing, and I'd find something else to fill my time. Maybe I would go bird watching, because maybe I don't feel like doing shit. And it's not the video game, it's the motivation, it's the will to succeed. And if someone's doing their shit, and they like to play video games in their off time, and getting the highest GPA isn't as important to them as having a good time, and having, fun experiences, then fuck it. It's their choice. You become enablers. Video games are a horrible addiction, and to anyone to say that playing video games is okay is obviously an enabler. You're either addicted or you're healthy. You can't be both. So, from what I've seen, is someone who plays video games is an addict. Because they have not talked about how much this guy plays video games, this guy is assuming that because this guy plays video games and he is an introvert, he is an addict. So anyone who's introverted and plays video games is an addict. And addicts, you're either an addict or you're healthy. You can't be both. So you can never play video games and be healthy. So any of you who play video games, you're addicted and you're unhealthy. And there's no possible way to be healthy and addicted. So there's no possible way to be healthy and play video games. It's impossible. Let's move on. I don't know whether your son would benefit from psychotropic medication, but I can say with reasonable certainty that medication or not, he needs to be released from his slavery to video games. He is not going to voluntarily give them up. So you're going to have to step up to the plate and take them away. How the fuck do you know he wouldn't give them up? Okay, well, he shouldn't give them up. But you're just going to take it away because there's no way he will give up video games because he's so heavily addicted. I wonder if these parents told the kid that they were going to send in this article instead of asking the guy to stop playing video games. Instead, they just asked him to play sports, and he says he hates sports, which is perfectly fine. You need to take them away. Slavery to video games. We're all slaves to video games. We can't escape. We hate it. We just don't know it. We hate playing video games. We just can't come to terms with it. It's horrible. Please release me from these chains. Let's move on. For your son and thousands of video-addicted teen boys, I'm hereby proclaiming May 1st, take their video games away for good day. This is some fucking Nazi Germany type shit. Okay? I guess that's kind of offensive, but Jesus fucking Christ. No. Take anyone who plays video games, May 1st, take away all their shit. Why? Because they play video games. Any other reason? No. Because they're shy? Because they're introverted? I guess those are logical reasons. Are they introverted because they play video games? No. There are plenty of people who are introverted who don't play video games. It's not the game. Oh, let's go. In my fantasy, millions of boys come home from school that day and find their video game consoles are gone forever.
Exclamation point. To paraphrase Louis Armstrong, what a wonderful world that would be. Alright, well maybe, at this time of your life, middle school, early high school, where you're 14, and everyone's a big asshole, and everyone hates each other, and everyone makes fun of each other for how they look, and how they dress, and how they behave, and some people's only coping mechanism is playing video games. May 1st, take video games forever. A wonderful world. What a wonderful world that would be. How about... How crazy would it be if they take away the video games and all of a sudden a bunch of fucking kids just kill themselves because they lose their video games, they go to psychiatry, they're on a bunch of fucking drugs, and they're treated like addicts. There is nothing wrong with playing video games. There is wrong with excessiveness. And there are things wrong with, fucking dependence. Where if you're completely dependent on playing a game that, you lose it, you can't function at all. But that's not the case. It's a hobby. It's a healthy hobby in a lot of scenarios. And I think it helps a lot more than it hurts. And it's just, oh my god, it's not nerd rage because it's true. This is fucking truth rage. Jesus fuck. I was doing something completely different, and then I read this, and I just had to rage. And I've probably raged so hard that I've made myself look almost as big as a retard as this fat fuck. Okay, well not fat, but old fuck. I wish he was fat. No, he's ugly anyways. He's a cunt. Jesus fuck. Anyways, here's this family psychologist from where I'm from, and I really hope someone, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything I'd regret. But, there we go. There's my rant. To raise awareness that these fuckers exist and people actually exist. People actually believe that this is a thing. People actually believe that game addiction is a severe problem. That people believe that in no way, shape, or form is video games anything but an unhealthy addiction. Well, I have something to say to you, fuckwad. Suck my dick. I'm gonna go play some fucking WoW, and then I'm gonna play some fucking League, and I'm gonna play all the fucking things I want. And fuck your shit, faggot. Do what I want.